We'll get it started. KJ, I know you in here, man, so we'll get it started, man. All right. What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the Life of a Champ podcast, episode number 95, talking about how to enter your divine masculine. Now, this is one that I've definitely wanted to make for a little bit now, but quite frankly, I needed to, fully internalize what that felt to me personally, right? I feel like this is also going to be something that means something different to every single person, and also something that you should probably define for yourself as well if you don't already have that defined for yourself. So I'm gonna give you my definition of what that looks like and kind of how I applied it to my life. And then, like I said, from there, if you're watching this for the first time and you've never defined that for yourself, then hopefully I can give you more of a solid foundation of what to build your definition from, right? So we'll go ahead and get it started. So first thing I want to mention before we go actually get it rocking, right? Make sure you go ahead and follow me on TikTok. It's just Life of Champ Podcast on TikTok. I post videos almost every single day on there. I try to at the very least. So tap in with that for sure. Also, make sure you go ahead and leave a like on my YouTube Shorts as well. Like I said, yeah, just gotta do that. If you like the podcast in shorter form, yeah, that's going to be a must right there. And also, if you can't catch a full podcast, I'm also releasing content that's going to be 5 to 12 minutes long. So if you for whatever reason don't want to watch a full podcast or can never catch it live, make sure to go ahead and tap in with that. And also, that's just going to be giving you the game in shorter form, and it's also going to be longer than just your typical shorts and stuff like that. So with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and divine. I'm gonna go ahead and divine. I'm gonna go ahead and define what divine means to me, right? And everybody's gonna have their own definition of what that looks like to them. But I'm gonna go ahead and talk about it as it is within my own definition, how it's applicable to the situation. So, for example, my definition of divine is going to be the highest form of being. So this is going to be the ultimate pinnacle of when it comes to be or when it comes to being a man, right? And what it takes to be a man and all the qualities that would qualify you to be what I would deem to be a man that is in his divine masculine. And then being masculine can be defined by many different things, but I'm going to give you a quick kind of rundown of what I would define masculinity to be, or masculine to be defined, right? So that's going to be defined, like I said, by many things. You can kind of define it with action taking, seeking a higher purpose, and doing work even when you don't feel like doing it, and also taking care of the ones around you, and protecting and providing for them as best as you possibly can. So with that being said, when it comes to being in your divine masculine, so putting those both together, it's gonna look something similar to this. I'm gonna go ahead and name some traits that I would like to define divine masculinity by. So that's going to be risk taking, assertiveness, action oriented, discipline, having confidence, having a goal or a mission in mind or purpose in mind, and also using logic. That's the way that I would describe it best. With that being said, so me, for example, right? Like my previous definition of masculinity, right? I wouldn't say that I have fully entered my divine masculine, and that is because part of that is being a father and taking care of your woman, right, and providing and protecting for them, right. And obviously I'm pretty young, I'm 21, so I don't have a woman to take care of, or I don't have a family and children to raise and protect and provide for. So I can only speak from a lens that isn't exactly within the divine masculine, but without having those, I do believe that I have entered a form of divine masculinity, and I definitely want to talk about that today because most people watching this are probably not fathers themselves, and if you are a father, then I would hope you could take something from this podcast when it comes to my other attributes that I would define divine masculinity by. So, with that being said, I would say I've adopted most of the qualities besides the paternal aspect of that, which, like I said, is protecting, providing for your children and your wife as well. But with that being said, the way that I see it, right, this is something that I would hope for you to go ahead and do for yourself. So, like I had mentioned, this is going to be action taking. So, um, make sure you're going ahead and taking action, even if it's uncomfortable, right? Doing the things even when you don't feel like doing them. That's super important, and I cannot emphasize that enough. It is one of the biggest lessons that I've learned within the past 6 months is doing it even when you don't feel like doing it. So whether this is whatever objective that you have for the day, make sure you go ahead and put the work in. Right? It doesn't matter how you feel. Truly, it truly does not matter how you feel. Um, because there's other men that are great at being men, and they do it specifically even when they don't feel like doing it. So you must look at that as an ideal and say, hey, I need to still put the work in, right? I need to still put the work in, and this is something that I reiterate many times on this podcast. But I want to reinforce this message because the message is of such importance that I need to go ahead and reinforce it. So with that being said, take more risks in this life, right? Especially if you're young watching this, you must take more risks, more than what you're taking right now, and get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I'm sure you watching this probably have heard that before, but truly internalize that and apply that to your life, right? So if you are what you would define to be a super comfortable spot right now, then obviously you need to add some more discomfort, because that is where the most growth is going to happen, is when you are uncomfortable, because it's going to demand a side of you that you maybe have never even seen before. It's going to demand a better version of yourself to step up to the plate and go ahead and handle what you need to handle. So you must, yeah, you must get comfortable with being uncomfortable, and from there, that is going to be a step in the right direction of getting into your divine masculine. Along with this, which is going to be one of the most important things that I can emphasize on this podcast specifically. Give me one second. And this is something that I've talked about on the podcast before, but I haven't made a specific podcast for this one topic. And I'll probably would do it eventually. It'll probably be after the 100th podcast, or not right after, but eventually after the 100th podcast. And it is something that I would recommend every single man watching this to go ahead and do. And if you're not doing this, then you are what I would deem to be a lame, in my opinion, quite frankly. And I will not want to say I will look down upon you, but quite frankly, I'm not going to see you in the same light as I would see somebody doing this action. And this is going to be retaining your masculine energy and not uselessly wasting it. So if you want me to get a little explicit, right? Don't be like I said, I don't even want to, man. Just don't be out here, messing around with people who are low quality. Let's just say that. Or rather, wasting your energy to your right hand man, also known as your right hand, right? So don't be out here having this selfish pleasure. Hopefully, with me defining it like that, without me having to be too explicit, you understand exactly what I'm trying to say. So do whatever you got to do when it comes to trying to get past the beast of lust. This is something that I've talked about previous time on the podcast, is conquering the beast of lust, and this is something that I think I have done. And there's going to be moments in time where the beast is going to get big again, and then you must defeat it once again. And I'm in right. I can speak for myself right now, which, like I said, is part of the divine masculine, in my opinion, is getting over those selfish urges and impulsive urges, and tapping into tapping into some self discipline, quite frankly. Tapping into putting that energy that you could be wasting into something that is of much greater value than just a 10-second high, or a 15-second high, right? So with that being said, that is going to be another element of what I would define to be divine masculinity, is not wasting. Exactly. KT already knows what time it is, man. Um, that is what I would define to be more of the divine masculine. And there's going to be men who are high value men that won't say this, right? They will refuse this because this is something that feels uncomfortable and feels like, quite frankly, they cannot do it. And this is something that you must conquer when it comes to being the most complete person, the most complete man, in my opinion, and tapping into that divine masculinity. This is something you're going to need to do. And I don't want to hear any excuses. I don't want to hear any excuses at all. I just want you to go ahead and try it out. And this is something that I've been doing, and I've been on the process of doing for, let's just say, probably about 3 or 4 years now. This is something that I've been, at the very least, conscious of. Maybe even longer than that, quite frankly. Maybe, yeah, probably about 4 or 5 years. Honestly, that's kind of crazy to think about it. But with that being said, if this is a new idea to you, to not be, being a little monkey and taking care of yourself, right? Let's just say that. Then this is something that I'm gonna go ahead and suggest for you to go ahead and apply. And of course, there's going to be rough moments where you're going to not be able to conquer the beast of lust, and the beast of lust is going to absolutely violate you. Let's just say that. With that being said, you must, like I said, I don't want to hear any excuses. You must figure out a way to get past it, because this is something that once you get past it, you will. I won't say you'll never face it again, but you'll get stronger. Your self discipline will be more there, and with the presence of self discipline, especially in that area, you're going to be better off, in my opinion. So, like I said, tap in with that for sure, and you will be one step closer into your divine masculine and feeling that energy, feeling the energy truly, and that's something that I'll emphasize later on. But yeah, so that those are going to be the first two aspects of what it looks like to me to be in your divine masculine. The next one is going to be being more assertive, right? This is kind of the trait that I went ahead and defined um, divine or masculinity with or divine masculinity rather, is with being assertive, right? And assertive is going to look different for every single person and every single different situation that they're in. But you must be assertive. So like let's just say, for example, somebody that's close to you is doing something that you don't like, right? Instead of them just doing it and you not saying anything about it, being assertive is saying something about it and trying to fix something if something needs to be fixed. Or yeah, I would say not assertive in not an asshole way, because obviously it can definitely get misconstrued when I say being assertive, right? I'm not saying abuse some type of power that you have. I'm saying um, just stand firm in what you believe in, and if there is something that kind of goes against what you believe in, um, make sure you go ahead and say something. Like I said, I'm not saying that to be in the most um, yeah. Don't be a dick about it. Don't be a dick about it. Let's keep it 1,000. But yeah, learn to be more assertive. And if you're a person right now that says yes all the time to a lot of people, that might be in the form of saying no sometimes and doing what you truly would like to do, and maybe even having to deny those people, especially if they're abusing you and abusing your generosity, right? So that is going to be what another element of divine masculinity is going to look like. So the first two that I named are going to be risk taking and getting comfortable with getting comfortable with getting uncomfortable. Along with that, also retaining your masculine energy, and like I had mentioned, right, being more assertive in this regard. Which, if you do the first two or three that I'd mentioned, right, it's going to be a lot easier to go ahead and be more assertive because you are automatically going to have that resource of energy, right? That's going to be abundant. And with that being said, you're going to be more inclined to be assertive, right? That just goes along with retaining your masculine energy, your masculine essence, right? Um, yeah, so yeah, I think it's as simple as that. Also, with being in your divine masculine, right? This is also going to be something that I mentioned earlier, which is going to be being focused on a purpose and removing all perceived distractions. Um, yeah, just being grounded in what you know you need to do and doing it every single day, and having a greater purpose that is bigger than your current situation that you're currently in. And with that being said, doing what you know you need to do. Simple, right? Everybody knows what they need to do, right? Especially the men that I'm talking to with this podcast, right? You know what you need to do, right? You've learned plenty. I'm sure you've learned plenty if you've been watching this podcast. You've learned plenty, so you might as well go ahead and apply those things. And don't be so frozen within the moment and being curious to know what you should do, because most of the time you actually already know what you need to do. It's just a matter of you doing it, and sometimes you're overthinking it, right? And that is kind of how I've been. I would say how I've been. Yeah, I was in the past. I was like that, right? Where I felt like I needed to know more, when in reality I should have just been applying what I've already learned. And I feel like a lot of men nowadays, when it comes to getting into the self improvement space, they get, for whatever reason, they get lost. They get lost in information, right? And they always try to seek more information, when in reality, if you've learned something that's good and you haven't applied it, then quite frankly, you should definitely have the application behind it, because if you don't have the application behind it, then you're obviously missing something, right? Not to say that you don't need to learn more. That's not what I'm saying. Of course, there's always going to be plenty of opportunity for learning. But with that being said, you must understand that there is something that is going to be greater, and like I always reiterate on this podcast, which is going to be being focused on your purpose and something bigger than your perceived distractions. Getting past those is going to put you in a better position, and also is going to tap into the divine masculinity that I'm talking about in today's podcast. Let me read some of these comments real quick. KJ, of course, holding it down as always. Got to give my bag no funny business. We got to, yeah, okay, we got to put in the work even if I don't feel like it, and I got to get the bag somehow, some way. I will get it, and I will definitely, yeah, exactly, for sure. You know what time it is, man. Yeah, better habits and getting rid of old ones. Yeah, slowly developing discipline, doing things when I don't feel like doing it, then I can't. Exactly. You're exactly right. You're exactly right. 3 months strong, of course. Come on now. You know what time it is. The instant gratification, which we don't need that. Yep. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And that's all these things that I talk about are going to come with experience and come with, having those flawed application moments, right? Or where you kind of feel like you're regressing, but at the same time, at least even if you do regress, that you are indeed regressing, and it's something that you could definitely learn from at the very least. So, with that being said, just make sure you're not. Make sure. Here's the thing. Okay, what I will say is this. What I'll say is this. I'm kind of everywhere right now, but the more that I learned personally, right, the more I learned about certain situations, and what to do and what not to do. The second I started, getting off path and doing things that I know I shouldn't be doing, I truly felt guilty. So if you're a person right now who's struggling to, tap into the divine masculinity and doing the things that you need to do, right? At the very least, you should be feeling guilty for not doing it, right? There should be some type of remorse and some type of emotional reaction subconsciously, for you not choosing to do the things you need to do. And this is something that, I've I've been kicking my own ass for such a long time that, um, yeah, anytime that I start to steer off, I already know that I'm steering off path. And yeah, I feel like everybody should be more conscious of this and, definitely respond to this accordingly, right? If you're doing something you probably shouldn't be doing, then you need to stop doing that shit. It's as simple as that. Um, Now, what I will say is it is as simple as that, but it's not easy to do, right? Um, but yeah, that goes along with the divine masculinity is just seeing those moments of opportunity and constantly making sure there's going to be improvement made when it comes to encountering a certain issue like that again. So yeah. Also, if you're in here, like I said, make sure to leave a comment. It looks like we have a few people in here, so say what's good if you're in the comments for sure. Also, make sure you go and subscribe as well. Come on now. You know what time it is, man. Make sure you go and subscribe. If you're watching on Twitch, make sure you go ahead and leave a follow if this is your first time in a stream. All right, give me one second. All right, so I'm going to give you some of my observations when it comes to tapping into the divine masculine, right? So, for example, right, with all the things that I had mentioned, right, these are all things that I've applied time and time again within my life, but now all doing it all together and consciously doing it as I've been doing it for, let's just say, about a month, roughly. With that being said, my confidence has been at an all time high. I've been able to do things that I probably wouldn't have been able to do in the past, right? And this is also going to come with just competence in general, right? Once you build up your competence, you're going to have more confidence in the things that you choose to do. And if you're constantly putting yourself in uncomfortable situations, you're going to prevail eventually. You're just going to prevail eventually. Um, Something's going to click for you. Something is truly going to click for you. If you're in a situation where you keep making the same mistakes, or you keep failing in the moments of you being uncomfortable, eventually you're going to succeed, and you must believe that you will succeed eventually, right? So yeah, that is something that I've observed with, like I said, mentioning the first like five things that I had mentioned when it comes to tapping into your divine masculine. My confidence has been as high as it's ever been. So, and make sure you take care of yourself as well, right? Like I said, I got the fresh fade today. Come on, man, you already know what time it is, man. I had to get the lineup for the one time. Like I said, that was gonna go all hand in hand with tapping into the divine masculine and looking the part and also feeling the part as well. More importantly, all right, for sure. Along with this, when it comes to tapping into the divine masculine, I feel like this is also a look. This is truly also a look that you need to tap into, and this is going to be for me, something that I haven't really talked about on this podcast, but something that it has been relevant within my life recently. When it comes to tapping into my divine masculine, I feel more like a manly man, and this is gonna sound kind of weird, but hear me out, right? So I never grew out my facial hair from longer than 5 days, right? And then I started growing it out in November, and ever since then, as of recently, probably like I said, within the last month, I've been able to refine the look and adopt a new identity with that look. And with that being said, I do feel like I'm more in my masculine because I no longer look like I'm 18 again every single time I shave. So this is definitely going to give you some type of look. And if you're a person that has never grown out your facial hair, this is something that I'm going to recommend for sure. And to do it eventually, right? I didn't think that I was going to do it, but I just had a random impulse to do it, and then I was like, okay, we'll see how it looks. Will I keep it? More than likely, no. And then I ended up keeping it because I enjoyed the way it looked, and I got a lot of positive responses from it. But with that being said, like I said, that is also going to be tapping into your divine masculine. I do believe that there's I don't know what it is. It's a certain type of like look that people give you, like a certain type of respect or understanding of you in some type of unconscious way. Um, like I said, that has worked out for me, and something that, like I said, would define I would define to be tapping into the divine masculine. And if you know, you know, and if you don't know, then it's something that I would recommend you trying for sure. Also, with the divine masculine, it's also, like I said, looking the part, right? Along with, having the masculine features that would signify that you're tapping into the divine masculine. This is also going to look in the form of your body as well. Are you a person that is truly working on yourself, right? So I'm a person. If you guys know me, already. I've been going to the gym 6 days a week, so this is something that I'm constantly working on. I'm working on my body, and if you're a person that isn't working on your body, at least a few times a week, then this is something that I'm going to recommend for you. Do it by any means necessary, right? This should be an absolute essential to your life. I'm always going to be an advocate for having the most healthy lifestyle that you possibly can, because I believe that it's going to reap you the most benefit in this life, and is also going to allow you to live longer. And with that being said, that is definitely tapping into the divine masculine, especially with having that athletic performance, and striving to be stronger, and striving to be a stronger physical vessel for for you yourself, and all the situations that you encounter in life, and also more importantly with the ones around you, and being able to potentially protect the ones around you, and at the very least being at least a physical threat, and avoiding certain situations that might happen because of the way you look, right? So yeah, that's definitely going to be tapping into the divine masculine. And with that being said, I want to mention this as well. Sometimes you feel like the hunter, and sometimes you feel like the hunted, right? And tapping into the divine masculine and doing all the things that I had already mentioned, right, is going to give you more of a hunter mindset, right? It's going to give you some type of feeling. I can describe it the best I possibly can, but like, let's just say, for example, I go in a public place that isn't the gym, right? I automatically feel like I just feel different. I just feel like I'm more in my place of where I should be when it comes to the hierarchy of the people that I'm around, right? And if you're a person, that is also pursuing the same things, and has done some of the things that I've been talking about, then I'm sure you understand completely what I mean, right? It's a certain type of respect that people give you. It's a certain type of look. It's a certain type of acknowledgement that's very, very subtle. But when you tap into the divine masculine, it's something that is just another day. And honestly, like I said, I wouldn't want to live any other way, quite frankly. So tapping with that for sure. Tapping with that for sure. All right. Also with the divine masculine. Give me 1 second. With the divine masculine, you also got to mention. I have to mention the counterpart, right? And this is going to be having the feminine partner right next to you, right? Being able to allow your partner to fall right into their feminine, or like I said, if you're whatever you're attracted to, if you're watching this, more than likely you are a man, and more than likely you are intending to try to be masculine, right? But with that being said, you know, when you tap into the divine masculine, you allow the woman in your life to really fall into her feminine by upholding your masculine frame. And upholding your masculine frame is just doing the things you know you need to do. It's just acting in the ways you know you need to act. It's simple as that. That's the only way I'm going to describe it. And with that being said, being that person that she could look up to, truly, in many different areas of life, right? Like I said, if something were to happen, you're going to go ahead and handle the business, because that's just what a man does, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's definitely something that I've seen within my own life, right? When I have tapped into certain forms of my divine masculine, right? Or when I have, just been more acting more masculine than I typically would. That is something that I've seen constantly. It's a very easy transition. It's a very, very comfortable spot for women as well. They kind of just know what they know. They unconsciously, like I said, fall into where they need to fall into. They do the things that they know they need to do, because they are understanding of the presence that you bring to the table. And um, like I said, it just allows them to be women. It just allows them to be women. That's ultimately what most women want to do nowadays. Is just truly be women. Um, yeah, and it's something that society obviously does not allow them to do easily without having some type of backlash. Truly, which is very, very unfortunate. Something that I mentioned on my feminism versus femininity podcast. So tapping with that for sure. That's also a very, very good listen for sure. But with that being said, I've seen it time and time again within my own life where I get introduced to a woman, and We start talking, and it's just the interaction's so much better because there's that polarity there, the depolarization, pretty much where, like I said, you are acting the ways you know you need to as a masculine man, and with that being said, you're going to have the woman fall into her feminine and act the way that she knows she needs to, and then it's just something that's beautiful for sure. Quite frankly, that's the only way I could really describe it. Is just a beautiful interaction, right? And if you're a person who doesn't have that happen often, like I said, tap into the divine masculine, and you will see you'll begin to attract women that want to be that for you, want to be that feminine figure for you. And I've definitely seen it time and time again within my life, thankfully. And like I said, it's been great. It's been great for sure. With that being said, tapping into the divine masculine, like I said, with harnessing your masculine energy in essence, right? This is something that you're also going to need to do if you want to tap into the divine masculine truly and be everything when it comes to the positive aspects of masculinity. This is going to be harnessing aggression and desire. Um, Desire can be in many different forms. Aggression can be in many different forms as well. But harnessing it, recognizing that it does exist, recognizing that it can be used for bad, and recognizing that it can be used for potential good. That is something that I don't see a lot of men talking about. Sadly, they just are a misrepresentation of masculinity because they choose to use it in a way that isn't exactly ideal. And with that being said, if you're able to harness your aggression and your desire and put it back into yourself and into your endeavors that you want to pursue in this life, you're going to be in a much better position, and it's definitely going to be way favorable for you and your life and the ones around you. For example, right, taking your aggression out on the gym, right? For example, the gym is a perfect example of, harnessing that aggression and knowing the proper way to use it, and when the time is to go ahead and use it. Also with desire, like I said, desire can come in many different aspects, but also recognizing that you need to be in control of that, because if not, then your desires will control you in your life. And with that being said, the more you harness your aggression and your desire and put it back into yourself and put it back into the things that you know you need to do, you're going to be in a much better position. And something that, like I said, also contributes to tapping into the divine masculine, which is something that if you're watching this, like I said, you should definitely be tapped in for sure. Men need to own their integrity and confidence. Exactly. Sadly, society is not set up for you to succeed. Let's just keep it 1,000, right? Everybody watching this, you understand that thoroughly. You should understand that thoroughly. They do not want men to be men nowadays. They don't, and you know this. And with that being said, you must fight it back against that, because that is the natural order that exists. Is when men are men and when women are women. That is when the natural order exists. That's when things go the best that they possibly can get. And with that being said, tapping into the divine masculine, and shout out to grandma, like she said, they need it. They need to own their integrity and their confidence, and the only way to do that is by watching a podcast like this and tapping in to the divine masculine, doing the things you need to do, doing it for the people that you need to do it for, and always creating a bigger reason than you're just yourself in your current circumstance. Because, like I said, fellas, if there's going to be a future that does exist, you might as well make the best future that you possibly can in the present moment. It's as simple as that. All right. With that being said, you should definitely strive to maintain this ideal, right? If I haven't given you enough suggestible evidence to suggest applying this to your own life, this should be an ideal form in my opinion, right? You should try to maintain this ideal and uphold this as much as you possibly can, because the second you don't, the second you start to fall off from these things is the second that you become more depressed, the second you become more anxious, the second you become more doubtful of you and your ability and your confidence. And if you're okay with that, then you're okay with that. But me personally, I'm not. So that is why this is an ideal that I'm trying to maintain and striving to maintain as much as I possibly can. And also recognize the people who are trying to take you off of this as well. There's going to be people in this life that are tests, truly. They're truly tests of life. And with that being said, understand when you're getting tested by somebody and say, hey, well, here's the thing, if you recognize that somebody's trying to test you, it is another reason for you to go ahead and prevail and show yourself that you have been putting in the work and that you are prepared for moments like this. And with that being said, if somebody tests you and tries to throw you off, make sure you go ahead and throw them off of their game, because quite frankly, their game is not a game worth playing. And like I said, you just need to tap into the divine masculine, recognize the people who are trying to take you off of that path, and move forward. Like I said, continue to do what you know you need to do. That is an obvious theme throughout this podcast. So tap in with that for sure. One thing I want to say is this. Sadly, most men will never enter this form. They will never enter the divine masculine, right? And the reason for them not, tapping into their divine masculine is because they succumb to selfish or lustful desires. And that is what I would define to be, having a lack of self discipline, truly, and also, just being mentally weak, right? Succumbing to all of the lustful desires that they have that are very, very selfish, right? With that being said, most men just can't handle it, man. Most men just can't handle it. And if you're a person that is, striving to do this, right, striving to have these ideals for your life, you must recognize that life is set up for you to fail, truly, right? There's so many modern day conventions that make life very, very easy. And if you don't strive to honestly to make life hard for yourself, then you might not be living life the best way you possibly can. Um, it's very easy to fall into temptation because temptation is all around you, right? And it's in many different forms. It's in the form of women. It's in the form of just temporary comforts like vices, like smoking weed, drinking alcohol. There's going to be plenty of available outs, quite frankly, available moments of just temporary comfort, right? And you should not strive for those ideals because, quite frankly, like I said, you are if you fall into those, then you are quite frankly mentally weak, right? Um, it is that's the way you could take the route if it's the most easiest way. And the human brain is obviously set up for. I don't know if you guys know this, by the way. It's set up to take the route of what is it called? The path of least resistance, right? So to do whatever you got to do and do it the easiest way and the most simple way possible to get the most satisfaction out of your present moment, right? Your brain is set up for that, right? So you must override override that part of your brain that suggests that you should fall into some of the things that would make the present moment better, but in reality is not going to make the future moment as good as it possibly can get. So with that being said, don't be most men. Most men, like I had mentioned, they will never enter this form. And you watching this podcast, you should be striving for more than just the average. And with that being said, don't be like most men. It's literally as simple as that. Like I said, if you're watching on Twitch, make sure you go and let me know. Also, if you're in the comments, which I do see we got a few people in here, make sure you go and leave a comment as well. Life is going to test you, right? That is just the great part of life. Life is constantly going to test you and test your character, and you must prevail. You must constantly strive to prevail. A lot of men have too many obstacles when it comes to being in the divine masculine, right? Or at least staying there. And recognize all the obstacles. Like I said, even in the form of people, sadly, which is so sad, right? Even in the form of people. Let's just say, for example, you have a girlfriend, right? You need to go to the gym. You go to the gym 5 days a week, for example, right? She's like, oh well, I just want you to, lay with me, and you don't have to go to the gym. I love the way your body looks right now. This and this and this. If you listen to that and you succumb to those selfish desires that you know might feel good in the present moment, but will never help you in the future moment. The more you say yes to that moment of her trying to bring you down and her ultimately trying to test you and your masculinity and testing you and what you need to do, the more you say yes to that, the farther away you're going to get from where you need to get to. So it's as simple as that, right? It's even in the form of the people you love, which is so sad. It's so sad, and like I said, I wish life wasn't set up that way, but it is. It is, right? And with that being said, you must prevail. Do what you got to do. Avoid the things you need to avoid, and don't succumb to the environment around you because the environment around you is not always set up for you to succeed. Simple. All right. One thing I want to mention as well, right? Obviously, I can't speak on divine femininity, sadly, because obviously, I'm not a woman, and I will have never enter the divine feminine. Now, I would love to have a woman on, and hopefully, maybe I will one of these days that will be able to speak on the divine feminine. But what I will say though is when I see that present, the very very few times that I have seen that present in women, whether they were conscious of it or not, it is definitely the most beautiful sight that I've ever seen, quite frankly. And when you see a woman who isn't so fixated on pursuing masculine endeavors, it is such a beautiful thing. I can't overstate that enough. Um, Like I mentioned, do I see many women out here, acting like that? I truly do not, sadly. But the ones that I do see that are like that, they're definitely very, very special, and obviously are wanted by all the men. Truly wanted by all the men. And I don't understand why women don't. They don't, for whatever reason. I'm kind of getting off on a tangent, but women are not trying to become what men want. Truly, it's the most foolish thing that I've ever seen in real time, and that I see on a daily basis is women want men, right? But they don't try to act in a way which men will want them. That doesn't even make any sense, right? And if you're a guy watching this, right, we all know what women want, right? First of all, they want a masculine man who's tapped into their divine masculine. On top of that, they want a lot of different other things, right? And we're constantly on the grind to try to be the exact ideal masculine. At least you should at the very least you should be. Um, and that has always been a constant pursuit for men. But for whatever reason nowadays, women are not trying to be what men want. And I said this before, women are not trying to be what men want, but what society tells them to be, and that is 1,000% present within society. I don't care what anybody tells me. Um, Sadly, that is the way it is. Simple as that. Yeah, simple as that. And also, I want to say, when you have tapped into the divine masculine, I feel like other men can truly sense this through your energy and through your perceived actions, right? So that, yeah, like I said, this is definitely an ideal to strive for because you will get the respect. Women will love you and men will respect you, right? And I feel like that is the most important things when it comes to a man's life is they want to be respected and they want to be loved. And the way that I would pursue that myself is to tap into the divine masculine and to do everything that I said earlier in this podcast. So, if you're a person not tapped into your divine masculine, I would highly suggest you tap in as soon as you possibly can because if not, you will be left behind. Sadly, many men, most men, I would say 80% of men are going to be left behind, right? They're going to be without a partner and they're going to be without the respect of other men. That's me being real. Now, with that being said, it's not hard to outwork those men, fellas. And you guys know the podcast motto. I ain't done with it yet, but you know the podcast motto. You know the podcast motto. Fellas out here, man, we don't just work, man. We outwork. So outwork those men. Outwork the 80%. Because it's not hard. It's truly not hard to outwork the 80%. The 80% are still stuck on very, very superficial and dumbing down activities and habits. That it's not hard to outwork them. It's truly not hard. It's not hard to outwork them. What you should be striving for, and this is something that I'm striving for, is to outwork the men within the 20%, within the top 10%, within the top 5%, within the top 1%. That is more of a worthy pursuit and a worthy challenge, right? So I'm not exactly trying to, compete with the men who are the 80%, right? Obviously, me acting on a daily basis and me being who I am and tapping into the divine masculine, I'm automatically going to be put above most men when it comes to that regard, right? But it's about trying to compete, and that is tapping into the divine masculine is understanding that life is a competition, right? You are in competition for your future wife. You might get beat out. You might get beat out if you don't tap in. But if you tap in, then you will beat somebody else out, and that is the harsh reality of life. You will take his wife. Yeah, that is life, man. That is life. Life is competition, especially as a man tapping into the divine masculine. That is what really is tapping into the divine masculine is seeking competition and recognizing that life is always in constant competition, whether you would like to admit it or not. Whether that is a comfortable or satisfying feeling or not, it is the sad reality, or not even the sad reality. That is just the reality of life. And I'm giving you guys the tools, hopefully, to be in a better position to go ahead and compete. Because if not, if you take somebody else's advice, go ahead and take somebody else's advice if you would like. If it's going to suit your best self, then hopefully that advice does you very, very well. But if it doesn't, all I'm trying to do is give you the best game I possibly can, and understand that you must tap into the divine masculine, especially if you are a man who's trying to build himself up when it comes to getting ahead in this life. And like I said, that is a worthy pursuit for sure. I appreciate everyone for stopping by. Make sure you want to leave a comment. I'm going to go ahead and end it here in a minute, very, very soon. So I want to know your guys' take on divine masculinity. Also, if there's something that I missed when it comes to tapping into the divine masculine, make sure to leave in the comments just so I can see what you guys think, man. So I'm going to reiterate some of the things that I'd mentioned already here in a minute, but I want to know your guys' take. And like I said, if I missed anything, make sure you go ahead and let me know for sure. Fellas. Once you tap in, man, once you tap in, it's like I said, life's so much easier, man. Life is so much easier. Life becomes easy if you do the hard work. That is just as simple as that, man. You must put in the work though. You must put in the work. More importantly, you must put in the internal work. That is going to be one of the podcasts that I make here in the future. You must put in the internal work. The most important work that you possibly put in is the work that you put into yourself, and that is not even in the physical aspect. That is the mental aspect. Giving yourself the blueprint of success. And once you are on that path, eventually you're going to go ahead and succeed, and also succeed at the highest level. If the blueprint is workable, gives you a strong foundation to build off of, you're going to have a very, very strong foundation to go ahead and succeed. That is something that I've built, and something that takes years and years and years to build and cultivate and curate the most useful information that you possibly can. That is something that I've been doing for quite some time now, entering my fifth year of self development. 21, come on now, you already know what time it is, man. Come on, you know what time it is, man. Like I said, the fifth year of self development, I'm looking forward to it, man. With that being said, got to start it off right, fellas. This is a podcast that I probably should have made a lot earlier, but it takes a lot of experience, and yeah, it takes experience to talk about certain things like this, right? I can't just be talking about this and still doing all the goofy stuff that I told you not to do, right? I'm a person who should be above that by now because, like I said, I'm in my fifth year of self development. Now, if you are in your first year or second year of self development, understand that you will be in a constant battle of trying to maintain these things. But once you get past, like I said, the perceived distractions, you're going to be in a much better place. All right. Like I said, I'm only missing one aspect, and this is something that I can go ahead and hopefully miss for a little bit. And that is, like I said, the paternal aspect. That is something that I'm missing, and quite frankly, I don't exactly, you know, need that right now in my life. Right, I'm completely content and okay with, uh, you know, not being a father right now. Right. But with that being said, that is the only thing that I'm truly missing, in my opinion. Like I said, fellas, if you guys are in the comments, make sure to go ahead and let me know if there's something that I miss when it comes to talking about the divine masculine. If it's something that you see and recognize within other men, um, that like I said I haven't mentioned, make sure to go and leave in the comments for sure. Also, just say hi in the comments if you're in here, man. We got a few people in here, so I appreciate it. He says, "Shut up, man. Checking in, man. Come on now." A man that is desired by women who is in her femininity is a man that is admired by her. Exactly. You're exactly right. Um, most people won't want to talk about that in society, right? But I don't understand it, quite frankly. And understand the word choice that was used. Admired, admired by her, right? Become a man that is admired by women. That is a worthy pursuit. That is a worthy pursuit. Now, saying that is also going to be very, very controversial in today's society, which is such bullshit in my opinion, but that is the sad reality that we live in. Because, oh, we're equal, 50-50, this and this and this, right? Okay, sure. All I'm going to say is this. Women truly look for, most women truly look for a man who is, let's just say, better than her in a lot of different areas. Women date up and across dominance hierarchies, men date down and across dominance hierarchies. That is just as simple as that. That's how it's always been. I didn't create it to be that way. I'm nothing more than an observer of life, just like you, and that is just something that I recognize. So, with that being said, that word choice is very, very key. Admired by a woman. A woman that is in her femininity is also going to recognize that. Hopefully, you are in your masculine and doing the things you know you need to do, and becoming the person that she knows you need to become, and you know that you need to become for her, and more importantly for yourself and for everybody around you and for your community, right? And then she'll be able to recognize that, and like I said, she'll be able to feel that presence that you bring truly, which like I said isn't brought by most men. So yeah, here's the thing. What I will say is this, right? If you're looking to stand out against your competition when it comes to other men, trying to take your woman from you, act in these ways that I mentioned on today's podcast, and you'll be ahead of them. You'll be, like I said, you'll be winning the competition, man. You'll be winning the competition. And like I said, you will have more women that truly admire you because you'd be a man worth admiring because not only are you going to be admired by women, or not only are you going to be admired by women, you're also going to be admired by other men as well, which is ideal. In my opinion, ideal, right? Man, the chat's not refreshing. What's going on, man? All right, give me 1 second. Let me see if I can tap into something quick. Hmm. Give me 1 second, fellas. Whatever, that's fine. Like I said, leave some comments if you guys are in here. And like I said, if there's anything that I missed on today's podcast when talking about tapping into the divine masculine, make sure to go and let me know for sure. Let's see if I can go ahead and do this real quick. Give me 1 second. Maybe some of the comments are not loading. I'll let you know right now. All right, that's fine. All right. Yeah, so that's pretty much today's podcast. I'm gonna go ahead and refresh everything that I had mentioned, and then I'll go ahead and end it off. Like I said, if there's anything that I missed as I'm running through this, make sure you go ahead and let me know for sure. So from the top, explaining real quick, right? Divine masculinity. You want to go ahead and break it down, right? What does being divine look like, right? And the true definition of being divine, right, is like godlike or like angelic, right, or being in a godlike state or godlike state. But basically, when it comes to applying that in this context, I would just say it's being the highest form of being. So divine masculine is going to be, just being at the peak of masculinity, whatever that looks like to you. Being masculine is also going to look different for every single person, right? Everybody's definition is going to be slightly different, but my definition, um, like I said, it can be defined by many things, but basically it's, taking the action, be action taking, seeking a higher purpose, doing work when you don't feel like it, and more importantly, taking care of the ones around you that you know you're supposed to go ahead and take care of. With that being said, that's also going to look with, just providing and protecting as well, doing as much as you possibly can. And with that being said, when it comes to, combining those, right, tapping into the divine masculine, this is going to be risk taking, being assertive, being action oriented, being disciplined, setting your boundaries, having confidence, um, and just honestly just using logic and things like that as well. That is also going to help you tap into the divine masculine as well. With that being said, like I had mentioned earlier, right? I'm not truly tapped into the divine masculine because most of that, I would say most of that, part of it is going to be tapping into the maternal aspect of that. And truly, I do not have any kids, nor do I have a woman. Um, yeah. So with that being said, that is going to be the part that I'm missing. But quite frankly, with pursuing all the other parts that make up truly what masculinity is, um, yeah, you're going to be in a good place to go ahead and attract the wife and eventually have the kids. With that being said, one thing I want to mention as well, which I didn't even mention, right? This is something that's super important, right? This is something that's new. Also, with tapping into your divine masculine is surrounding yourself with a brotherhood of men who are on a constant grind, just like you are, right? That is super, super important. That I can't believe I didn't even mention that, right? That is also tapping into your divine masculine, is getting challenged by the ones that you love, right? Most times when I go to the gym, I'm met by somebody that I know, right? And they push me to want to be better for my own self, right? And we push each other collectively, which is honestly a very, very beautiful thing when it comes to masculinity. And that is also going to be tapping into the divine masculine, is surrounding yourself with men who have very, very common goals and are trying to pursue similar things, and constantly giving the encouragement that they need to go ahead and push forth with whatever they're trying to do within their life, and also being there in moments of vulnerability when you need to. So yeah, that is something that I also need to mention when it comes to tapping into the divine masculine. With that being said, be a person who's going to be more action oriented, and be okay with taking more risks in this life, because that is just a part of life, and you must get past those uncomfortable moments. There's going to be risks that feel uncomfortable, but quite frankly, you must still take the steps necessary. You must do it. It's just as simple as that. With that being said, one of the most important things that I will reiterate on this podcast when it comes to tapping into your divine masculine, which most men never do, they never do this. And this is going to be retaining your masculine energy and essence and not using it excessively and not wasting it uselessly, right? With that being said, if I can go ahead and give you a little bit more of a more clear picture of what that looks like, right? Do not be surrounding yourself with women who are going to be of low quality and wasting your masculine essence on them. That is not a worthy pursuit, nor is that a worthy outcome for you or for her. Truly. With that being said, also not losing it to your right hand man, right? If you understand what the hell I'm trying to go ahead and describe, do not be do not be falling into some selfish desires and temporary satisfaction that lasts about 15 seconds, right? Be better than that. Be better than that. And if you're a person that's not better than that, if there's one thing you could take from this podcast, just don't do that shit. Don't do that shit, man. Come on, do whatever you got to do. Watch as many videos as you need to watch, and that's how I learned truly how to be in my divine masculine, and that is definitely one of the most important things that most people will not talk about is getting that energy built up inside of you and not wasting it and applying it to something that is actually useful in this life, right? Applying it to your better self. Simple as that. With that being said, a few more things that I want to mention before I go ahead and wrap it up, right? With tapping into divine masculine, right? You're going to be more assertive, right? And that just comes with retaining your masculine essence. Um, you're going to be more assertive, and that is not going to be for the worst. It is okay to be assertive, right? Society is going to tell you to not be assertive in this life, but I'm going to tell you that it is perfectly okay if you do it in a healthy way that does not belittle what true masculinity looks like, right? There's a lot of men who use this certain type of assertiveness, and it really goes to their head, and now a lot of people have a misconstrued perception of what masculinity looks like. So be assertive, stand, have some boundaries, and stand for something, right? And if somebody is trying to compromise you in some of the things that you're trying to do, go ahead and let them know that that's not okay, right? It's as simple as that. Stand for something, or you will fall for everything, fellas. With that being said, tapping your divine masculine is also going to look like being focused on something bigger than yourself, a higher purpose, a higher sense of self, and also getting rid of all perceived distractions. If you recognize that it's holding you back in some capacity, then you must go ahead and get rid of it. Um, yeah, and getting rid of those things is always going to ground you truly within pursuing your purpose, right? Getting rid of those distractions is also going to allow you to have more time and energy to focus in on what you need to go ahead and focus in on. Yeah, doing what you need to do, pretty much, right? Also, with this, tapping into divine masculine is also going to be maintaining all self-discipline in many different endeavors in life, right? That is going to be tapping into the divine masculine. And if you're a person that isn't disciplined, I would recommend for you to go ahead and get disciplined in some type of way, in some type of endeavor, and eventually, hopefully, that trickles down to other endeavors in your life. Simple as that. Also, with that being said, when you tap into your divine masculine, one of the most important things that you can possibly get from that is going to be confidence. And like I said, this is going to be a worthy pursuit, fellas. If you're a person struggling with confidence, do the things that I said previously, and you will be a more confident person. You will be more assured of yourself, and you'll be more okay with yourself, right? And I feel like that's ultimately what people are lacking nowadays is just being okay being themselves. But if you're a person who truly stands for something and truly has meaning behind why you're living this life, you're going to be more confident, and that confidence is going to trickle over to many different things that you want to achieve and that you would like to have in this life. So tap into your divine masculine, and you're going to have more confidence with that. With that being said, divine masculine is also going to look and feel like a physical presence as well, right? So building your physical presence, right, through the gym, and also with just taking up what I would deem to be more masculine traits. So, for example, having facial hair and things like that, things that make you more rugged and more masculine, right? That's also going to help you tap into your masculinity if you do need that. That is something that I've gotten with growing out my facial hair that I definitely really appreciate and really didn't think that would have that much of a difference on me and my identity, but truly it did, and something that I would definitely recommend for most men. If you haven't done it, grow out your facial hair, and you might feel a little different, right? You might get different reactions from different types of people, and who knows, it might be a good reaction. So, like I said, divine masculine is also going to look like a certain look. Now, I'm not saying be the hairiest person alive. I'm saying embody what it looks like to be masculine, right? Physically, yeah, simple as that. Along with that, right, tapping into your divine masculine. This is also going to, help you out with women as well, right? Being in your divine masculine is going to allow your woman to fall into her feminine frame by you constantly being and constantly maintaining your masculine frame. With that being said, when I have encountered women, um, the women that I truly attract nowadays are going to be some of the most feminine women that exist within society right now. I've seen it time and time again with my previous interactions with women where I do attract them, and things just go a lot easier, right? Because I'm doing what I know I need to do, and she also recognizes and feels that presence of me, being confident in the decisions that I make for my own life, and you know, for just falling into her supportive self that she possibly can. And yeah, it is honestly a beautiful thing. But the only way she can do that, and the only way you're going to be able to track that, is if you are the counterpart to that, which is the divine masculine. With that being said, understanding that doing these certain things and harnessing your masculine essence is also going to have you be a little bit more aggressive. But with that being said, you must harness your aggression and put that desire back into yourself, right? Understand that it is nothing more than a strong emotional and physical reaction, which is going to be aggression, and it can be, used in a productive endeavor, in a productive manner. So, with that being said, do not just be taking out your aggression. Make sure you go ahead and harness your aggression, and the men who are tapped into their divine masculine are not the ones that are poorly using their aggression on simple interactions of life. There are people who are more controlled and who aren't reactive to every little thing. There are people and men who are proactive about their decisions and how their emotions can play out, and how their actions can affect the people around them. So do not be one of these men that are showing poor masculinity. Simple. With that being said, tapping into your divine masculine, sometimes you're going to feel like the hunter, and sometimes you're going to feel like the hunted. But when you're tapped into your divine masculine, you're always going to feel like the hunter. And within this life, that is something that you should strive for it, because that is going to give you such a better feeling, truly. And like I said, is also going to help you with your confidence as well. With that being said, this is an ideal that you should strive to maintain as long as you possibly can, and at the very least, something that you should always fall back into, right? With that being said, most men will never get this because, quite frankly, they're very, very selfish and they're very, very lustful, and that is going to be the downfall of most men. They are men who are undisciplined and who are not mentally strong. So therefore, they will fall into temptations and time again, and then wonder why they feel depressed, wonder why they feel anxious, wonder why they have a lack of confidence, and it's all stems back down to them not being the person that they know they need to be for their own life and for the ones around them. With that being said, avoid the obstacles that life's going to throw at you. Life is going to throw at you many, many different obstacles, and maybe even in the form of people you love. Recognize and accept those things and move forward doing the things you know you need to do, right? With that being said, that is everything I have to say for today's podcast. I appreciate everyone stopping by. Thanks for everyone for contributing in a positive way. And next podcast is going to be on Tuesday. I'll be doing a live stream actually this weekend, so tap in with that for sure. I'll just be chopping it up, listening to some music, and just having a good time, man. Other than that, fellas, the motto for the podcast. Well, before I say that, make sure you go and follow me on TikTok, like I had mentioned, Life of a Champ podcast on TikTok. I'm posting roughly about 20 shorts a week, as well as about 3 videos that are going to be about 5 to 12 minutes long. So if you can't catch a full podcast or can't catch it when it's live, tap in with those videos, because those are going to be some of the most useful information in video form. So tap in with that for sure. Other than that, fellas out here, man, we don't just work around here, man. We outwork. So I make sure y'all working these motherfuckers every single day, and don't skip a day, man, because your opponent isn't. Tap in with that for sure. Like I said, if you are a person who is going to tap into your divine masculinity after this podcast, just know that you're going to be outworking these motherfuckers. So it's as simple as that. Other than that, fellas, like I said, tap in on this weekend. I'll let you guys know. Other than that, next podcast is going to be on Tuesday. Look forward to that. You guys have a good rest of your nights, and like I said, make sure y'all working these motherfuckers. As simple as that, man. Y'all have a good night. Like I said, stay tuned for Tuesday.